Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, pulling stuff out of boxes, although as you can see, we're almost done doing that. Actually, everything is sort of scrambled up, and I keep finding more things. But basically, I think most stuff is put away. And as I was piling things away, I pulled out this sucker, which was still in plastic, although it didn't make any difference. It's the Mravinsky Special Edition 5 CDs on Melodiya. Now, the reason it was still in plastic is because there is nothing on here that has not been released 400,000 different ways on 500,000 different labels, both licensed and pirated and delicensed and repirated. This is all very, very, very well-known stuff. It's recorded from the late 40s to around 1980, I think, in perfectly miserable, typical Soviet sound. And some of the performances are very well known. Some of them are very good. Some of them are not so good. They're, mostly live. I think they're all live, actually. But I'll tell you what's in here. I just find it stunning that this stuff keeps getting reissued. Well, I shouldn't really, should I? Because everything keeps getting reissued. But, I mean, I don't see what the special edition aspect of this is. Because this is all sort of generic, regular Mravinsky stuff. So there's nothing to do but run down the list and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. All right, Beethoven Pastoral Symphony from 1949. Is it a bad pastoral symphony? Well, no. Is it great? Well, no. Does it sound lousy? Well, yes. It does have a rather droopy Scene by the Brook. My rule for the Scene by the Brook is 12 minutes is about the limit. And this is like 13:29. Oh, boy. It's a little slow. But, it's nice. It's okay. Then we've got La Mer. And that's from, 1962. It's a well-known La Mer. It's not a great La Mer. It's a good La Mer. You don't get these things because the interpretations are good or bad. You get them to hear the Leningrad Phil, which was one of the world's great orchestras under Mravinsky. There's no question about that. And there are moments in all of these performances that are absolutely stunning in terms of orchestral execution. And that's kind of why we listen to this stuff. Then there's the Wagner Overture to D Meistersinger from 1982. That's very late. And, Mravinsky did deteriorate, and so did the orchestra in his later late 70s, 80s phase. Not, unilaterally, but here and there. So then we get the Brahms Third Symphony, which is actually quite good. It's a good Brahms. There's no exposition repeat, of course. Stravinsky's Appelant Musagette, which has some amazing string playing, and the Debussy Prelude to the Afternoon of a Faun. Now, these are from 1965, 1970, and 1972, it seems. Let me see. Is there something else? There's something else here. Wait, there's something a little odd. They don't tell you when the Brahms was recorded. They should. 1 through 14, sound engineers. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, 1972 was the Brahms, and the rest of it was 1965. Now, there was a wonderful disc of Mravinsky sort of encore things that had that Afternoon of a Faun in it, and a whole bunch of the other shorter works that are in here. And the longer stuff is, I've got so many, I'm just looking over here, so many Mravinsky collections. I mean, they've been on every label in the world, all of this stuff. Then we've got Mozart 39, Sibelius, the Swan of Tuonela. That was also on that, encore collection thing. And we've got Tchaikovsky's Pathetique. So these are 1950, 1960, and 1965. 1965 is, they're not in order. The dates are not in the order of the pieces as they are presented. So the Mozart is 1950. The Sibelius is 1965, and the Tchaikovsky is 1960, which was a wonderful period. But of course, Mravinsky did make studio recordings twice almost twice, not quite, but stereo studio recordings of Tchaikovsky 4, 5, and 6 from just this period. And those are the ones to get, obviously, because they sound the best. And the interpretations are very similar no matter what you do. Then we've got the Bruckner 9. And some people swear by this Bruckner 9. It is a beautiful Bruckner 9 in some ways, but there have been so many great Bruckner 9s since then. One of the things that happens is that unless you're like a professional critic or a fanatic for the work in question, you just can't keep up with all the stuff that's come out. I can't even keep up with it, but I'm doing better than a lot of people, you know what I mean? And so back in the 1970s, And when was this Bruckner recorded? The Bruckner was 1980, pardon me, the 1980s. This was like a big deal. And there weren't that many Bruckner 9s, and they weren't that many Bruckner 9s by non-Bruckner people, specialists. And so this was like a thing. And everyone listened to it. But you still have people who seem to have not heard anything since then. And since then, we've done a lot better with Bruckner 9. Sorry, we have. What can I tell you? And then there's the perfect coupling to Bruckner 9, of course, Ravel's Bolero. I mean, what could be better? This is an interesting performance because Stravinsky was sort of known as a fast conductor, and this Bolero is 17 minutes. It is exactly Ravel's tempo. And that is a fascinating thing. Of course, it was recorded in 1949. It sounds like hell. But, it's still a very interesting thing. It sounds better, I guess, than Ravel's own version, which times out almost exactly the same. Perhaps this is the first period authentic bolero in the universe. It probably is. Then we've got Tchaikovsky, Capriccio Italienne, Scriabin, Poem of Ecstasy, and the Fourth Symphony. Now, the Fourth Symphony is from 1960, and of course, that is the same time as the studio recording, roughly. And let's see, the Capriccio is from 1950, and the Scriabin is from 1952. And, however well played they are, and they are, it's not the same as having great sound, especially the Poem of Ecstasy. I mean, come on, a dim-sounding Poem of Ecstasy. And I love the way the orchestra is described. It says Leningrad Philharmonic Orchestra, and then Leningrad State Philharmonic Academy Orchestra, named for Dmitry Shostakovich, honored collective of the Russian Soviet Socialist Republic. Okay, someone will explain that, whether I want them to or not, and I don't. So there you have it. It's the Mravinsky special edition that has absolutely nothing special about it in terms of repertoire selection. There are special things in some of the performances. I mean, the Tchaikovsky symphonies, of course, are wonderful. And, some of this other stuff, well, what can I tell you? I mean, it's very, very well known. If you don't know Mravinsky, you should hear some of the best of his stuff, starting with Tchaikovsky Symphonies 4, 5, and 6 on Deutsche Grammophon in stereo. And if you like what you hear, then you can sample other stuff. But he's a lot like Furtwängler was. I mean, of course, he wasn't like Furtwängler in the sense that his orchestra was far more disciplined than Furtwängler ever got. But he was similar in that he didn't make studio recordings. He didn't like to. And so people run around scrounging up live recordings and the same ones and in different masterings and different stuff. And I find it to be a tremendous waste of time. Because however splendid he was, you can hear that splendor in Tchaikovsky's 4, 5, and 6 quite adequately. And if you want to hear it in other repertoire, then you're going to have to put up with either lousy sound or audiences that had whooping cough or whatever state Mravinsky happened to have been in at the time that it was recorded, whether he was declining or not declining or whatever. It's an ordeal in and of itself. It is a tiny, tiny little niche of the classical music universe. And it's up to you whether you want to participate in that niche. I'm not a niche-nick, generally speaking. I just want to hear the really good stuff, know what it sounded like, and, in certain repertoire, I get curious, and then I hear it, and it doesn't sound too great, and then I say, okay, I've heard it, I don't care. That's me. It may not be you, so it's up to you. So keep on listening, friends. There it is, the Mravinsky Special Edition on Melodiya. Take care.